Good evening, all my dear students. I wanted to report in for my business economics and American government classes, just recapping a little bit of what we've done so far, and then thinking about this next week as we look at our shortened week. Because Friday is a teacher non-duty day. We have contractually have that day off. And so it's probably going to look pretty much like every day has looked for weeks, it seems, but let's just rage it, right? So for business economics, this past week you turned in an assignment called looking at the intersectionality of climate change and economics. Some of you really hit it spot on. Others, well, good thing you know you're not driving yet. But really the concept we looked at was how the world's going to change as climate changes around us. It's happening and we probably should be prepared for it. This week, we're going to think about how the national economy is changing. And we're going to start with this idea of what does a healthy economy look like. So if you were someone who was trying to take the temperature or read the symptoms of our country, right now, it's kind of like that. We're going to look at how symptoms can tell us if an economy is getting healthier or if it's getting sicker. And in the news right now, we are seeing high unemployment numbers, and our government is spending trillions to try and keep our economy floating. This is truly an exceptional time. It would be a time where I know you'd ask me questions in class, and I wouldn't necessarily know how to answer because this has never happened. It's hard because we're closer to the, say, Great Depression numbers than we are to the Great Recession. So this is a time where when you talk to your kids, they'll be like, what was going on? I would start paying attention. My American government students, we took a quiz this past week, and none of you did my Flipgrid, which I understand. It's weird. I thought I'd try it. I probably won't try it again. I'll find something you all are more comfortable about or with. And then we looked at also climate change. So I know a few of you got super confused, and I do apologize that was the magic of how timing works, I guess. But we looked at how local governments and state governments can combat climate change. Is it truly going to be effective? And I look forward to reading through a lot of your stuff this next week as I grade. Our big ideas for this coming week in American government would be our First Amendment rights. So I used to show in class Jay-Z's 99 problems, but that would not be appropriate to build into a lesson plan. So if you're looking at your Fourth Amendment right, you might go look at 99 Problems. He was well versed in that amendment when he wrote his song. But you're going to get to look at all other 9 amendments this week as well. And I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. In the news, there was a big thing that happened in Kansas where it was all about constitutional power. So the governor, Laura Kelly, issued an executive order banning large gatherings and including church services. And we know there's a separation of church and state as dictated by our Constitution. And so some Republican lawmakers chose to try and prevent that executive order from going through, and the Supreme Court upheld it within hours of Easter starting. It's crazy times that we live in. Again, this is an exceptional time. Things like this, a government teacher could spend decades of their career working on and never see something like. So that kind of got me thinking, what would I want to leave you guys with this week to think about? And so when we come out of this pandemic, it will definitely be different people. You have to know that. The fabric of who we are will be changed. And I hope that we can see our world new, and we can invent new ideas from the failures that we see in our system right now. So I pulled a presidential quote. It's from May 22nd, 1964, from my dear friend, Lyndon Johnson. He was one of our presidents. And he had this to say: "For a century we labored to settle and subdue a continent. For half a century we called upon unbounded invention, an untiring industry to create an order of plenty for all of our people. The challenge of the next half century is whether we have the wisdom to use the wealth to enrich and elevate our national life and to advance the quality of our American civilization, Your imagination and your initiative and your indignation will determine whether we build a society where progress is the servant of our needs, or a society where old values and new visions are buried under the unbridled growth. For in your time, we have the opportunity to move not only the rich society and the powerful society, but upward to the great society. It's just an excerpt from one of the speeches he gave about creating a society that we want to live in. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, is we have some serious flaws. And as we look at American government and we look at economics this week, we can start kind of getting an idea of where could we find some ways to fix those flaws. And I say we, because you are the largest voting group that will be eligible to vote in the next few years. Because obviously there's more young people alive than there are old people. So we have to start thinking about what society we want, what we want it to look like. So I want you to kind of chew on that as your brain is bored out of your mind. Go to your happy place and think about if you could build a society, waving your magic wand, what would it look like? I really miss all of you. You're like, this week was really hard for me emotionally. I mean, I live with my dogs. They don't talk back a lot, except for Hitch. So it's been hard. It's not all quarantine snacks and Netflix. I will say that. I learned a lot, but it's hard. It really is. And I look forward to the day where we can see each other passing at the Legends and I can ignore you and you can ignore me except for a slight nod. Well, we survived this. We'll see each other in the fall. Or not, my dear graduates, but there's some information on prom, and I do like to wear a good dress. So, miss you guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families.